Cindy
And Michael.
from Part-Time Permies, and we have a number of people in the room already. So hello, let's see, who do we have here? We have Linda Taylor. Hello, it is Sunday night, so it is Sunday night, although it's a long weekend. So Kiri, hi. Incense Shop is in the room. Aim High is in the room. Monica's here. Awesome. Suburban Hillbilly. Hello, hello. And your mom. Merry Christmas.
Yep.
2 days early. Merry Christmas Eve's Eve. So yeah. Did I miss someone? Suburban said Pickers. Hi, Aim High. Yay.
Yeah, we haven't seen Aim High in for a while. Well, she checked in a couple times at the end.
Yes.
She's been busy.
Did I miss someone else in there? Okay, hopefully not. There's a good number of people here. So, and Green Gables, hello, hello. So yes, this is our Christmas weekend live show. So we actually did Christmas dinner at my parents' today. So we'll go through a little bit of that. We'll go through this week's released video. So I might as well do that real quickly. If you guys haven't checked it out, our part 2 of building the greenhouse came through, was posted this week, and that was how to bend conduit. So it's a short little video, not too long, but got that out, and I will try to get 2 more out this week because I have the next 2 days off. So I'll work on that some. Got some projects to do as well. So J-Dogs, hello. There's more people filtering in. Awesome. So how many people do we have in the room right now? I think 10 people. Cool. So we do have a number of things to go through. We might go over. Hopefully you guys don't mind on that. I know there's another live show that's not usually at this time going.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep. Yeah, so they might send some people over at the end if we go longer than them because they're usually on an hour earlier, but they had to bump it back, and they gave me a heads up on that. So yeah, Roots and Refuge is live right now too. They're usually live at 8 Eastern. So
we were also doing some Christmas dinners or holiday dinners and needed some extra time.
Yeah, so, and I would have bumped us earlier, maybe switched slots with them, except we had our holiday to do too.
But people come at the wrong time then.
That's true. It's easier to do it slightly late than early in a way. Although they went early by mistake a couple weeks ago.
J-Dog's place is new?
Yes. Thanks and welcome to, I can't talk or think anymore tonight. Oh my goodness. Thanks and welcome for joining us. And we are going to go through a number of things today. We always do our featured forge item. I'm just missing oh, there's discussion between people. Sorry, I was reading the.
That's not allowed. Nobody may discuss anything else.
Nobody can. No, I'm joking.
Please discuss whatever you like.
Point of the chat.
Keep it interesting.
If it does get pretty busy and we miss a question that you want us to pay attention to, you can either hit @ and then Part-Time Permies, and it will show up really bright on our screen, or you can put it all in caps, and that should help us see it as well. So, hi Diana, welcome back to our show. Says 11. Yeah, I think another person just joined. I did actually want to do one thing for Suburban Hillbilly, since you're in here a lot, and probably for Kiri and Valerie as well. If you guys don't mind, there's one. I'm gonna do a couple things.
Adding some extra moderators.
Yes, because our moderators, and I want
week to week, you never know who's in and who's out.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pick, because you guys are in here often, I'm gonna pick the 3 of you guys to moderate for us if you don't mind. Waiting to get set free from work, Tina.
Oh, Tina. She's always on the edge of work. Yeah.
Well,
I know she works Sunday nights. So.
Yeah, a lot of times. I hope you don't have to work on the holiday this week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, we have a number of things we'll be doing. We'll talk about how we celebrated our Christmas today with my family. Yeah, no, Roots. I haven't checked to see if Roots and Refuge.
Roots and Refuge are supposed to be on right now, unless they're really running late and didn't do it.
Yeah, no, they told me that they were going to be running late tonight.
So Bill Harvey is like 100 moderators.
It's your 100th wrench. Well, you watch so many live shows. and catch
Yeah,
them. You must be very
Carrie's on the
consistent.
phone, so that's a little harder.
Yeah, no, it is sometimes harder on the phone, but I think you can still watch things a little bit. Or if you're ever on the computer, that's helpful.
Carrie's is her first wrench. I got a first and 100.
Anyway, so for moderators, the ones with the blue wrenches, basically what it means if anybody is not behaving themselves, because we like to keep it PG, um, that they can improve comments that YouTube is kind of filtering, but they can also, if someone's spamming us or trolling us, they can actually kick people out of the room or
You
put them
don't
in
get too
timeout.
many trolls. Every once in a while,
No,
you
no.
get somebody randomly like zooms in from outer space, has no clue where they're at or what they're doing.
So
That's that's happened once or
Artisan
twice.
Bard, hello from
Yeah.
Texas, awesome.
All
So
right.
yeah,
We get a
actually,
lot of people from Texas.
well, Carrie's from
Here, I
Texas.
know, but we seem to
We do get a number of people from
a
Texas.
couple hours earlier in Texas.
I think one. You guys are on Central Time, right? So you're 1 hour difference from us, I believe. So it's a little bit earlier anyway. And actually, we will be going through Forge item today, and we do talk a lot about what's kind of out there right now in our area, and we're in Southwest Michigan. So although we haven't had much snow
We
yet,
got a lot of mushy soil right now. That's pretty
it's
between mushy and frozen right
yeah, it's
now.
going back and forth a little bit there. It's not too horribly muddy because we haven't had a lot of rain, but we did have one snow so far, but not much here.
So what do you got today?
Anyway, so I wanted to get you guys to go through, just list your states. That would be awesome, so we kind of know where everybody's at. Um, that would be great. I did want to go through Christmas dinner a little bit, so Mike made dinner today.
Yeah, we brought it to the other side of the state to see family.
So we did we did. I don't cook, not much anyway. Mike did an artisan ham that came from Pratt Family Homestead. We bought one of their hogs, and you cured this ham and cooked it.
Yep. So
and smoked it.
They raised it. They dropped it off at the butcher shop. The butcher shop just hung it for us and cleaned the hairs off and left the skin on, and then then I did the rest, and we cured that ham over a week. I think there's some videos on that.
Yeah, there will be videos on that. There's some pictures already
and
on.
Then and then I got up at 4 in the morning to get that in the oven.
Yeah.
Because we had to drive it across the state to be ready for a early afternoon lunch.
Yeah. So he got up extremely early, cooked it. Well, went back to bed for a little bit.
Yeah, went back to bed for a little bit, and then we got up and got ready.
Yeah, and then brought it across the street, warmed it across the street,
not really.
State, warmed it up, and actually the funny thing was, we brought our dog across the state too, and Puddin was kind of sleepy, but her nose, by the way, is right next to the cooler that has the ham in it. So she's hanging out.
She kept putting her nose trying to. Well, she pretty much knew where it was.
She knew.
Didn't know what was in there.
She knew. She kept sniffing away, and but she was falling asleep next to the ham.
J-Dog's lived in Grand Rapids for a winter.
Yeah. Yep. You can get a lot of snow in Grand Rapids.
We're an hour south of there.
Yeah.
But we get similar amounts, and
similar.
A lot of times they get hit and we get missed, and sometimes we get hit and they get missed.
That's
but
true.
We're pretty similar.
Yep. And we're a little bit warmer than they are. Not much. Tennessee for years.
I lived in Tennessee for 3 years.
Yeah, and I have family in Tennessee. And aim highs, of course, in Michigan. We got Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama, Georgia. Wow, California, Texas, of course.
Get an itchy nose and sneeze.
Yeah. Indiana, South Carolina. Yeah, got a lot of states represented. That's awesome. Okay. I do have couple other pictures I was going to put up from today. So one is Puddin and my sister-in-law Karen giving Puddin bunny ears, but there was an empty spot at the table. at that moment. So she was actually hanging out at the table, which was kind of funny because she's head level. It looked like she was going to take a seat there.
Table's like a 30-inch or just bare, so it's just a little bit on the low, average to low end. So Pudding's head is right at the table. Our tables happens to be a few inches higher, so it's not quite. But
usually, what Green Gables said, she saw a license plate that said Puddin.
Huh? I'm not surprised.
Not us.
Somebody was telling us their cousin or their uncle or somebody. Everybody called him Puddin.
Huh?
Because he always liked Pudding. I don't know.
I don't know. But the other thing is, my nephew, Taylor, was trying to be friends, and he keeps trying to be friends with Puddin. And Puddin's really shy, especially when it comes to kids.
And Taylor's really energetic and bouncy and all over the place.
But he's mellowed a bit, and he's doing a lot better. And she did take one piece of ham from him, so she did get some ham too. Where are you going? Oh, okay. He takes off right when I go back on to us. J-Dog saw his first lake effect snow in Grand Rapids. Yes, we get lake effect. Depends on where the snow bands hit, but yeah, we can get that. So anyway, we'll keep going through things. That was pretty much our Christmas dinner. Yeah, thank you. Our dog is a Great Dane, so Brindle Great Dane. We call her the supermodel because she's skinny and tall and pretty. So, but and she takes over the couch that she's not supposed to be on.
The best couch in the house all the time.
Which is actually right behind you right now. She's on the couch now. Okay. Isn't there a phrase about Puddin something the same?
I don't know. My sister named her.
Yeah.
Because we acquired her when she's 2, and my sister named her. So she came with the name came with the package.
Yeah, we just got her.
What is lake effect?
What is lake effect? New York gets it. Michigan gets it. Ontario.
Ohio, you get it. So
Ohio gets a little bit. Oh no, not Ohio. Indiana does.
So when you have a large body of water, it can warm the air slightly, and then when it hits a landmass, which is cold, all of a sudden it dumps that.
Well, you missed part of it. It evaporates the water from the lake a bit.
Yes.
And then it
some of that too.
dumps the snow onto the land when it goes over the cold land.
Here, within usually the first 15 to 30 miles.
Yeah.
So 30 to 50 miles in, they could get nothing or an inch, and on the shore they could get a foot or more. And I mean, it's the same if you live on ocean coasts that are warm. You can take that morning rain or evening rain where it only hits the first section.
It's basically like ocean effect rain on Seattle, Washington, right? I mean, they get a ton of rain.
So
we're just colder.
We're about 30 miles in, so we get the edge. We can get the edge of lake effect. So if it's a heavy lake effect, and you get bands you can actually watch on the radar. You can see them coming in areas in the winter.
You could get 10 miles away, they could have a foot of snow, and we could have 2 inches, or vice versa, depending on where it all falls.
And we could get, but if we get, say, 6 inches, a heavy snowfall would be a foot or more in one night here. If we got that, if you get every 5 or 10 miles closer you get, or, you cut the distance by half to the water, it pretty much doubles or triples. So they're going to be like, we got 3 feet, a mile off Lake Michigan. We're like, we got a foot, and then you get just a little bit into the center of the state, and they're like, we got a dusting.
Yeah, right.
Or they move north or south a little bit, and they got nothing. So.
And we get regular snowstorms.
So it means the forecast is not accurate.
No.
Sometimes they'll say good chance of lake effect or watch out for lake effect.
Yeah.
But it means don't trust the forecast.
It could be different within miles.
It can also white out easily where it just snows so hard you can't even see, so you got to watch. If you're driving a distance.
And we get the regular snowstorms too, but we get occasions where it's more just coming off the lake.
There's a dip of I-94 that goes on the southern edge of Michigan and pops around Indiana
into Chicago.
Heading into
Illinois,
south of Chicago. And as you come around that's notoriously dangerous for miles of whiteout just out of the blue and car accidents because everything got crazy real quick.
Well, just we're west of Kalamazoo. Yeah. On the other side of Kalamazoo, my first year moving back to Michigan, which was 4 years ago, 3 years? 4 years ago. My gosh. Moving back to Michigan, we had it hit national news. We had that 150 car pileup nobody got seriously injured or killed, but on 94 between Battle Creek and Kalamazoo,
they had it closed for like a day because they couldn't get all the vehicles and trucks off the road. It took so long to get them all untangled and get it
Buffalo is famous for lake effect
Buffalo
as
gets
well.
it as worse than we do sometimes. So
they're a little colder there,
really
and they get it off of Lake
We
Erie.
don't notice it so much in the summer. There may be such a thing, but with rain, you just don't really notice the difference. But
the saying is, "What's your name, Puddin? Ask me again."
Oh, really?
And I'll tell you the same.
There you go.
It's you have to, I think, be from Canada to say that. Okay.
Or Southern, I don't know.
I don't. You don't say again in the South. That's a Canadian and British thing, I think.
You were in that? I was in that, but
oh no, but not
hit,
it,
but
stuck.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there were a lot of cars that veered off the highway.
There were videos all. I was still living in New York, and there were videos playing all over
I was
the news
here
in New York. And Cindy's like, it's just down the road.
Yeah.
And then I had friends asking, oh my gosh, is Cindy there? We're like, it's close, but it's not.
At that point, we didn't have this house quite yet. So, and this is on the other side of Kalamazoo anyway. But I was living in town, so I wasn't even taking the highway to work, which was good. I was going to that work that day, but oh my gosh, that was crazy pile up. And they kept adding the number of cars as the reports went because I think they were estimating.
I think it was 150 to 200, nearly 200. So it was a big deal.
Yes. And I had your car really sideswiped the week beforehand, so it was in the shop. Luckily, before all those other cars ended up in the shop. But oh my gosh, there was all craziness going on that first year. That was also the year I bought this house, and we had an earthquake in the spring, or I want to say May or June or something. We had something else happened, 2 earthquakes, I think, but one I felt, or one people felt around here, which Michigan's not an earthquake place, so it wasn't very big, but it was noticeable.
Rare and small.
Yes. Yes. So anyway, I'll stop talking about 4 years ago and start talking about what's out there right now. Now I haven't noticed this plant on our property yet, but we feature a foraged item every week for those of you guys who don't know. So this week we featured Wintergreen. We do have
appropriate holiday winter item.
Perfect for the holidays. I do have a link below that links to our blog and webpage that has a description, more detail that you can go to. I'm going to pull it up, so I'm going to look away from the chat for a little bit. But the wintergreen plant, this is dried wintergreen that we got from our foraging friend Nobby. And
we picked that. I picked that.
Oh, when we were foraging with Nobby? Okay.
We were with her, but I picked that.
Oh.
She pointed it out, and we were talking about it, but
oops.
I brought that
so
back.
That's dried out.
So we got that this spring, maybe April, May, somewhere in there.
May,
no, it wasn't because it was around Morel time.
It would have been May then.
We're right into early May.
So wintergreen, of course, is green all year round. It may turn a little bit reddish in the winter.
It's like waxy, rich, dark green when it's on the plant, and it stays that way pretty much through the year.
It's kind of a leathery feel to it in a way. It's thicker.
It's like a bay leaf, but more waxy and shiny.
Yeah.
Like a tropical shiny leaf, although it's not tropical.
And it's a short plant. It's only about 7 inches. Yeah. It could get up to 6 to 7 inches high, but it's usually just a couple inches
Those
off.
leaves are about the size of bay leaves, or slightly small to medium-sized bay leaves.
Yeah.
More rounded than a bay leaf.
So, it's definitely more rounded leaves. The leaves it's hard to tell in this picture, they're not quite completely smooth. They have like very slight teeth on them, which is kind of interesting. In the spring, they will have a little white flower, kind of bell-shaped flower hanging down off of a stem, which I think you can see on the picture of the dried one where the flower would have been. And then in the fall, it'll have little red berries at that point hanging down from the stem.
I think we originally grabbed these to try and replant them, but we didn't get enough root, and we didn't get them in soil fast enough. So
like holly,
it's similar to a southern holly, like the it actually looks a lot like
The texture is similar to holly, but the
And
shape of the leaf is a
yeah,
little different.
but if you have the tree form holly, like when we were down in Atlanta, that grow big, their leaves are quite similar in size and shape, but not exact. But yeah, that would be a really good.
It'd be very
Yep.
similar. But this definitely has that wintergreen flavoring that you get with the wintergreen flavored gum, and which is where the original flavoring actually came from. Um, this grows actually not in Texas. Sorry, Carrie. This grows in basically around Minnesota, all the way east to Maine, and down a little bit to, I want to say down the coastline a little bit through New York and stuff. Basically, the colder areas. It grows in woodlands and clearings, basically most of northeastern U.S., and it likes poor acidic soils and will often grow with evergreens or mixed forests.
So we found this on the ridge of an older pine forest. It had a little clearing over the ridge. Heading down about 20 feet was a bog, a traditional bog or lagoon. So it was catching some of the light from the ridge, but it was in pine forest, highly sandy acidic soil.
Yeah.
And there was a number of little plants all along there.
So, and yeah, they'll grow in little groups like that, but the animals do like them, so it is sometimes hard to find the berries, especially, but they will nibble on them basically all winter, especially the deer. It does have a very thin stalk on the stem, and most of the leaves are to the top of the stem, so it usually has like 4 or 6 leaves up at the top of the stem.
Yeah.
And then the flowers or berries hanging off. And the berries do ripen up in the fall, and they all taste wintergreen, like almost like little wintergreen candies. I haven't actually tasted the berries.
We didn't have berries when we came across them.
I've tasted the leaves, but not the berries. The leaves taste like wintergreen as well.
They're pleasant. They're moderately strong.
Yeah.
But you can just kind of
use it as a mint.
Suck on them a little bit.
Yeah. Or you can put them in a tea. A lot of people do that. They'll actually, it takes a while to extract the oils from this plant. So if you basically put boiling water over your plant and let it steep, over your leaves and let it steep for 1 to 2 days, and then you could rewarm it when you want to drink it, or you could drink it cold, and it's basically minty fresh. So yeah, the holly leaves have the sharper points on them than these. Yeah.
I think the holly leaves are a little thicker, but not. It would be a good description if you want to get close.
Similar.
Other than the
so
the general leaf.
So you can eat the leaves, you can eat the berries, but the berries actually taste a lot better after frost. So you have to have a good hard frost, and then they taste a lot sweeter.
Wintergreen mojito.
There you go. You can. Yep. Go ahead with that one. But definitely teas. The berries can be used in baked goods, and it is almost like a little mint candy. You don't need a lot of it. It can be used in salads. You can make them into jams, and then the leaves can be used to flavor other foods and things.
Nah, they're kind of tough for salads.
Yeah, they said to actually break them up.
I would, they remind me also, if you ever,
with the berries in the salad.
If you ever work with, and we talked about a few weeks ago for a short period of time, the kaffir lime leaf, that double-lobed leaf. It's tough like that. It's got a great flavor, but you're not really gonna throw them in with your grains.
No, you might
you're gonna
break them up and sprinkle them. But
simple syrup would be great.
Yes.
Flavoring simple syrup would be excellent use, and then you can transfer that flavor to other things.
Yeah. And of course, it's been used as a flavoring for a long time. Now, there are no poisonous lookalikes for this plant, which is nice. There is another plant that is edible that grows even further north, like in southern Canada, maybe just barely on the northern part of the U.S., that's called creeping snowberry, that has a white berry, but otherwise looks very similar. And that one, is a little more rounded shape and smaller leaf.
Is it minty?
Yeah, I believe it's actually a very similar plant. It's related.
Yeah.
But it's not quite the same. It actually will have leaves all the way up the plant, alternate, and the leaves are a lot smaller. So it does look similar, but also very edible.
I was trying to read Carrie's comments.
Sorry. I keep flipping back and forth on the screens.
The berries on the cactus.
Oh, cool.
Cactus berries.
Wow, fun. You ate the berry. We picked a berry and ate it. It wasn't easy to pick because of all the long spines. Yeah, I could see that. Um, can you chew on the stick like a mint toothpick?
I'm gonna guess the wood is minty.
Yeah,
I didn't chew on the stick. It is small. It's smaller than a toothpick. The ones
yeah.
we got. Yeah,
Most
I mean,
people
we
chew
kind
on
of
the
sucked
leaf.
on a couple of the leaves.
Yeah.
Coming back, we were out hiking for other stuff, and
And the oils do, so these dried ones probably aren't as strong as the fresh
the
ones.
oil
The
dissipates a little bit.
Yeah. The oils, you do have to be careful with the oils because the oil is actually, if you extracted the oil, it's 98% methyl salicylic acid, which is similar to aspirin. Aspirin is acetyl salicylic acid. Nice tongue twister. But salicylic acid's also in willow bark, which all of
Is
that was
extracted
used
all the time.
all yeah used as a painkiller all the time. But for people who have sensitivities to aspirin, probably shouldn't try this one because it's basically the same thing. The salicylic acid, when it doesn't have the acetyl group and you put it in your body actually adds that acetyl group to it. Something I learned from Daryl Patton. Um, so willow bark does not have that acetyl group, and wintergreen doesn't have that acetyl group. They put it on the aspirin. It makes it act faster on the pharmaceutical aspirin, so it does
So
take
if you got
longer
any
to
hot
act.
ideas of making an oil extract and down in spoonfuls of it,
Don't.
yeah, that's probably being stupid.
Basically,
Other
they're
than it'll be so minty, you wouldn't want to do it
not
anyways.
so much that, but if you have essential oils of wintergreen,
Yeah.
you do not want to down spoonfuls of it because 1 teaspoon of it is equivalent to 90 baby aspirin. So basically, it's overdosing on aspirin. And there have been uh, case reports of people who took, for whatever reason, a whole teaspoon at a time, and it caused basically aspirin overdose.
But
So
again, you wouldn't take a teaspoon of
no,
clove oil or cinnamon oil or any of
straight,
those.
yeah.
Those would be pretty rough on your system too. So
So if you have it just, you make it into a tea, it's watered down. It's not going to be that strong.
yeah.
It's people who extract pure oil. You don't want to eat that because it's just too strong. Um, Isn't that the word they use in acne meds? I have seen salicylic acid used in acne meds,
It's
but it's not retinoic acid. Retinoic acid is
yeah.
different.
Salicylic acid is used in wart remover,
Yeah,
and they use the acid component to burn.
yeah,
And I mean, and so docs will use it to burn things like warts. They're actually using it to get a burn and reaction so that your body heals yourself. But I believe that's a common or the only active ingredient in those type of medications for
yeah.
like lightening skin blemishes or removing calluses and warts. So you're right about that, and I think it's a small enough amount that it's not harmful internally, but it's quite caustic externally, causing
Yeah.
the damage to the skin.
So yeah, I mean, suburban hillbilly. Yeah, you can use the essential oil. You just have to, and externally people use it as well, like wart remover and things like that. But you do have to watch the strength when you're using pure oil with it. You don't usually want to use it as a pure oil internally. From the plant itself, making a tea is fine. You can make jams on it and all that.
Yeah, a
Um,
drop of essential oil once purified is a lot.
yes. No, no,
It's
no. A drop might, yeah, is a lot.
but the idea, the amount of flavor that you get out of a drop of purified essential oil. We actually have one of the best chemical companies, food and flavor companies um, here in town that they do a lot of the mint extracts. They went to
Yeah.
Wrigley's and the gum companies, and they still do all natural extracts of mostly oils, but other things
For
um,
flavorings
for
and stuff.
flavoring and for colors. And as everybody has gone on a rush in the last few years that they want to get the artificial flavors and colors out of many foods, it's become very trendy. They went from an old style company like, yeah, they do all these extracts of
Yeah.
plants and things. But we got all these cool techniques to do all these artificial things. Well, people are calling them up off they can't get the phone off the hook fast
Yeah.
enough because so many people like, what do you have now? Because they're the leading edge for about 100 years of essential
And
extracts.
J-Dogs, yes. Aspirin is a blood thinner, so
It is.
salicylic acid would do the same thing. It basically acts the same way as aspirin, but takes a little longer. So if you're constantly making, say, wintergreen tea all
and
winter and
drinking it all day long.
or take
Yeah.
well, no,
Yeah.
if you take a glass a day or something like that, it's probably very similar to taking a baby aspirin a day or
Having a
whatnot.
small dose, yeah.
Small doses, probably not.
If you're drinking it like iced tea constantly, it's probably too much. If you're having a cup or two a day, that's probably
It's
just fine.
Yeah. So, but or one berry at a time is fine. It gets really strong if you're eating it all the time. So it's like, popping a mint into your mouth. You don't want to pop like 5, 10 mints in your mouth. You usually just take one at a time.
Yeah.
But people do use the berries as a trail, nibble on the trail or whatnot. Or kind of like well, once it freezes, it's kind of like a little mint candy because you get, or a little mint sorbet type thing because it's frozen.
I'm wondering if the candies are a little bit sweet or vitamin C, acidic, sweet, and minty. It might be an interesting combination.
Yeah, they get sweeter with the frost.
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting combination to have.
Yeah.
Have a fruit, a minty fruit.
A minty fruit. It is a minty fruit.
And there are some candies that they mix
Yeah.
mint and menthol flavors with
Yeah.
with fruit flavors, which are always a little weird. Sometimes they're good, but they're a little weird. Trying to brain figure those out.
So there are a number of uses, but there are a number of things you want to watch. But as far as there are people who will put it in tea and mix it, or simple syrup and mix it with carbonated water. There's and you can use that to the menthol part of it calms upset stomach too. So there's that side of it as well. So people who have something like a stomach bug or whatnot, who have a fever and upset stomach, it would help lower the fever and
digestion,
it would actually help lower the fever and help the upset stomach a little bit too. So
it would probably be nice in a jelly format, a savory jelly, a sweet savory jelly, like a pepper style jelly.
Yeah.
And onion jelly, something like that. You know what, a few of those in there would probably be really nice.
And one of the books I had did have a jelly, a cold, not cooked, uncooked jelly that they made from the berry. So that is one thing.
With game meats like duck or lamb or venison or something.
I believe what they did was they actually took the berries and ground them up and then added a little bit of lemon juice and then added the actual mint tea from the leaves to it, and then they made a little extra gelatin, heated some gelatin off the side, and then mixed that in, and then made the jelly that way.
The reason you add the lemon juice is to activate the pectin. You need sugar plus acid to get pectin once heated to set. So that would be there to ensure that the pectin was behaving.
And I'm guessing it's a different color than mint jelly, but I'm guessing it would taste a lot like mint jelly.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
It would be more red than
Well,
depending on
mint
how much
jelly is its own discussion of. Please make it go somewhere else.
You don't like it.
I know people love it. I did so many years in restaurants where there's always a joke that you had to have, especially traditional restaurants.
Yeah.
You have to keep a jar in the cooler because there's somebody that throws a full fit about their mint jelly. They're paying $45, $50 for rack of lamb, American, rack of lamb that are like this big and they're beautiful and you've done everything to make them great and they're most expensive item on the menu and they're like, where's that mint jelly? And they're just smothering it and smearing it and you're like, you can't, it's like putting barbecue sauce on it. I guess it's okay, but you can't taste anything. So what we would do sometimes, we would make some mint sauces and play around like traditional mint sauces, chopped up mint, sugar, vinegar, like apple cider vinegar.
Thanks, Jada.
And it's stirred around. It's a little wet, but it's got a nice flavor. So that's English mint sauce. And then sometimes they chop little mint leaves. And then we started playing around, putting other stuff in it. So
J-Dogs, thanks for joining us.
Yep,
we'll
nice
see you next time. But every week, just to let you know, we're on every week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, so if you guys want to know what else we saw out there, I actually got a good picture, but who knows who, you guys should know this one, I think by now. I've covered it multiple times before. Anybody have a guess on what this plant is? It is one that's growing outside almost any cool areas. Will go nuts and people hate it in the garden, but it's only around during the cool times.
It doesn't really hurt anything.
And it doesn't hurt anything, and you can eat it.
Just ignore it in your garden.
And it's full of, or pick it and eat it. Yeah. It's full of vitamin C.
Eat it or plant around it.
Anybody have guesses on this plant? Any guesses? Chickweed, yeah, suburban. And I finally got a good close-up picture. One of the best ways to tell that it's chickweed, if you look along the stems here, you can see the little hairs along the stems. They are only in one single row on each stem, and each segment it'll be on a different side of the stem.
Puppy's passed out.
Yeah,
she's kind
snoring.
of snoring. She's totally passed out.
Anyway, to get back to that, that is a surefire way of telling that that's chickweed and not something else. Some people go by the flower, but it's not always in flower. So I did want to show that to you. I'm probably going to add it to my blog post, add that picture on it for the chickweed blog post that we did probably last winter or spring or whenever it was. The other thing I want to do with the blog, if you're interested, is I'm going to make because we've gone over so many plants, I'm going to make basically a key alphabetically of all the plants we've gone over and have them linked to the description. So I'm going to work on the webpage a little bit to make it a little easier to find what you're interested in. But that is, I wanted to get that one in there. Another thing that's out there that you can still find, even though we've had snow, is this one. Anyone recognize this one? It's a little smushed down because it's on our patio, but and it's cold and wet outside a little bit. But anyone have any idea what this one is? And we have a little bit of a lag here, so I'll give you a moment. Yeah, we're running probably 30 seconds behind at least.
There it goes.
So, yeah. So if you guess what that one is, it's also, you would definitely recognize this one in the summer. Oh, thanks, Suburban. Maybe eventually I'll do that.
There's a lot of people have already done them.
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty much getting my information from other places, but yes, aim high is dandelion. So
trick question.
Everybody would know it in the summer, but you could still pull up those roots, and those roots should be sweeter.
The roots are fine. The leaves are going to be so-so, but the roots are going to be nice.
The leaves are bitter if you like bitter greens.
Yeah. But you can see the red vein in those. Most of them have somewhat of a light red vein.
Yes. So that is dandelion. We have that growing all over our patio and back, so that's directly out our back door. Although we probably can't dig the roots of that one because it's between the patio stones. So unless we want to dig up our stones, that won't work very well there. But if you know where it is, there are other plants that look similar in the same family, like the chicory and things.
So for the chicory, a lot of those things, the dandelions, Linda, if you don't like them, I think the best way to like them, aside from pouring like fatty dressings like oil, mayonnaise base and ranch dressing on it, is you can always dip them in batter and fritter fry them, and that typically solves the problem. But actually, what I was going to say is strong vinegars, strong greens and bitter greens and peppery things usually work well with strong vinegars. So red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, apple cider vinegar. If you like it a little sweet with it, then you use the balsamic, but it stains. And so using vinegar or oil, and then the oil and vinegar, it's a balancing point. Strong vinegar, strong green helps break it down, and then you can add oil to calm it down and only use a little bit.
Yep. And suburban,
chickweed's not very strong compared to dandelion, but you also use a small amount mixed with sweeter greens instead of straight. But I like putting chickweeds on sandwiches, like using it as sort of like you'd use lettuce or sprouts. It's actually really good.
It is. And suburban, you're not foraging anything in your yard. You have 4 dogs. We do not forage in our dog yard.
Yeah, we have a fairly big area that's fenced off.
We have probably almost a quarter acre fenced off for our dog.
Yeah, we don't forage. That's grassy and whatever. We don't even.
Well, there's dandelion in that area, but no way. There's no way we're foraging in that area with the dogs going there.
What's ACV?
Apple cider vinegar.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Did you do a video or pictures or anything?
Suburban, yeah. We got to do apple cider vinegar at some point here, but we're trying to
figure out the best. We don't have a good way to crush the apples.
Well, some people do them in chunks, and I think that works all right. But we want to do it with crushed apples.
I'd like to be able to crush them a little bit.
Yeah. So we're working on it. Maybe next year. Who knows?
I love duck. Duck is great. Slow roast it. So the best thing to do is to rub it down with salt and pepper, and maybe stuff some things like some shallots or light amount of carrots and carrots and celery and onions, your classic mirepoix. Some people put fruit in it or oranges. Just stick some of that in the cavity and let it sit, and then you roast it. But you need to roast it a lot longer than a chicken, so it's going to be well done. It's probably going to roast an hour and 40 minutes, almost 2 hours, I would say.
Depending on the weight a
Yeah,
little
we did a
bit.
goose video.
I'm pulling that up.
Yeah, goose is 3 times as big, but it's the same process. So your concerns are to get the skin rendered, get the fat out of the skin so it becomes crispy,
and then
not burn it in the cooking, and then get things to get tender. So you could brine them if you want. And then so it's going to take an hour and 40 to 2 hours to get soft. And when the wing or the leg is kind of a little pliable and feels like it's about ready to fall off, it's ready, and it should be amazing. The thing is, you can pre-cook them, so you don't have to time them. Let them cool down. You can pull out the middle rib cages and just leave in the leg bone and the wing bone, so it's semi-boneless. And then you can kind of slide them out when it's a little bit cooler with your fingers or gloves on, and then you can crisp them up in a hot oven, 400-degree oven for 10 minutes or 15 minutes before you serve them, and it works really nice. You need about half a duck per person. It's a little bit of a big portion, but anything less than half a duck, unless you're serving a lot of other things you just want to taste, is a lot. The alternative method is you use the breast only, and then you typically want to serve it medium rare to rare, so it's very pink, and it's fine to eat duck rare too, because it doesn't have the problems like other
the chicken
and stuff. They're totally different, so it's fine to eat them very red. And if you don't slow roast them till they get tender, there'll be that in between where the meat is fully cooked but it's chewy. So you usually start with the skin side down, and you very slowly in a cool pan bring the heat up till all that fat comes out, and it gets really crispy. Then you just quickly flip it over, sear it nice and seasoned up, and you slice it really red, and it's amazing. So both two extremes.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you do is you take the legs and you can make confit, but that's a few-day process. So you're not going to do that before Christmas. But
we don't have a video on that.
Straight whole roasted duck is very achievable at home, and very tasty.
So I just linked a video from last year that we did in a series for holiday cooking that we did, that focused on cooking goose and cooking turkey. And the goose is going to be very similar to cooking your duck. Obviously bigger.
They taste basically the same. By the way, if you don't know what they taste like, they taste because they're dark red meat and it's more irony. They eat a lot of greens. It tastes almost like grass-fed mild red meats, like a really mild venison or really mild beef, not like chicken or turkey. So if you have people that are like, oh, I really don't like turkey or whatever, duck may like it, even though it's poultry category. It's got really good healthy fats, so you can save the fats. It's a healthy bird, even with all the fat on it. Eating a lot of that fat is generally healthy. Totally different than some of the others. So yeah.
And Diana, you've been here before, I believe. So, and for anybody else who's new still in this room, he's a chef. So we do Ask the Chef segment anyway. So we're kind of moving into that. But one other thing I wanted to do.
And I will say one thing, that duck is one of my favorite things to eat. I enjoy cooking it, but there's quite a few ways, and it is definitely one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites, but it has to be done with a crispy skin for it to be my favorite.
If it's soggy and it steams, and we could get into some more complicated methods of how it's done, Asian done, and there's some other steps, but I find that straight roasting is pretty effective. But we could get really complicated on doing, they do these poaches and steams and pricking it and blow, like when you do like Peking duck they blow air under the skin and they let it dry out, and then they blanch it, and then they go through a steaming, and then it goes. That's why it takes a period of time. So you could get really fancy on it, but I think the key is to get that fat to render out and release a lot of it, so that it's not a chewy skin, crispy. Yeah. And you can eat as much. If the skin is crispy, you want to eat most of it. It's really good. It's like a crackling and seasoned up, real salty. But you can also put it to the side and eat whatever portion of it, or if it's not fully rendered or a little burned, you just don't eat that part. The meat will be a really nice, mild, grass-fed red meat. They do get a little grain. Yeah. And they're very young ducks. Everything that's sold in the U.S. are ducklings. So they're not like if somebody went out duck hunting, which I've never really had
Wild duck.
wild duck, it's very different. People tell me it can be quite fishy and strong, and it's a
Different.
totally different experience. It's like
Yeah.
people that have had domestic turkey versus
Wild
turkey. The way you prepare it and the way it tastes totally different. And you may not like wild duck, from what I understand, but the domestic is really nice.
Why not just roast it with butter and herbs?
Well, it's got plenty, so you don't need any butter. Yeah,
It has a lot of fat on it.
So the fat is going to come out during that cooking time and bathe the whole thing. So it's going to, and duck fat has amazing flavor. So it's like putting a stick of butter on it already. So what a lot of people do is actually take pins or needle and they'll kind of prick the skin to help it come out. When I do duck breasts, I tend to try and cut through the skin but not into the meat, and either crosshatch or scores, and that will cause that fat to help purge out easier. But when you do a long roast, just a few pricks on it or nothing, it will just bathe it out into the pan.
So it bathes itself in its own juices.
In its own juices, which are incredibly flavorful. Yeah. So people then collect the fat, not usually when it's roasted. They collect it when the bits or when they've rendered and used it for other things. They render it like other, like all the fats. And then it's a premium cooking item. It's like $30 or $40 wholesale for a little 5-pound or 10-pound pail.
Yeah.
Like a 10-pound pail, which is a lot, but people do fried potatoes in it, vegetables, all kind. It is, next to butter, it is one of the most exquisite fats to cook in.
Or you could take the fat and then take a duck leg and let it sit in there. How long?
Well, you cure it first in herbs and salt for 1 to 2 days. Then you simmer it in all fat, submerged in fat.
So the duck leg simmering in all
wash
duck
off
fat.
the salt, submerge it in duck fat, usually about 3 hours or so until the bone kind of gets soft, wants to twist out. You put it into a pan. You let the fat sit over the top and seal the top. And in France, they tend not to eat it for about 6 weeks. You keep it in a root cellar in your fridge. And so when you seal things with fat, or confit is the process, it actually is a preservation between the salt and the cure and the fat.
It's really tasty.
It shouldn't go bad even at root cellar temperatures. It will hold into the winter. However, I find that you can serve it within a week. I think it's better. Yeah, within a few days, it's fine. So you dig it out of the fat, you kind of scrape off the fat, and whether it's skin on or skin off, you can either peel the bits of meat, should fall off, and it should, and it tastes like it's like bacon almost.
Oh my gosh!
But the best thing is if you can keep the skin on, you put it in a cold pan and you let it sear down so it becomes all the way crispy, almost like you're crisping bacon in the skin. Yeah. And you warm it that way, and you serve that usually over lentils or something. And that in itself, a duck leg, which is the secondary product to the duck breast, and people, it's kind of peasant food, all of a sudden becomes one of the best meals you can have, is just a duck leg and thigh, and usually grain or and we tear it up and put it in risottos and put it in over salad. It's good cold too over salad.
Yeah, it is.
You just got to get all the fat. You got to render the fat off so it's not too greasy.
Yep.
But yeah.
So I love duck. If you can't tell, I love good duck confit, but it has to be done right. That's the main thing.
You need to take a little time. It's not that hard, but take some time on it.
Yeah. Baked store-bought duck before, loved it. Eventually would probably have to cull some drakes and then bake one of them of your own.
Yeah, there are some places that are serving a semi-cooked or nearly cooked item that's ready to just be finished and crisped. You're going to pay a premium for that. They're going to make a bunch of money on it. They did a lot of work on it, but they're a real nice alternative for a.
But she has her own ducks.
Yeah.
Apparently more drakes than she needs.
You know what? If they're not laying eggs, I'd be before they get too old and tough. Now, if they get older and tougher, you can do the confit.
Yeah.
It's the breast after a period of time that you can take the breast meat off, but the legs roasted will take longer to tenderize. So as they get older, the confit becomes more and more attractive.
Yeah. So, we are doing another thing because last summer, I'm going to switch topics here. Mm-hmm. Last summer, we made 2 videos, and I'll post one of them right now, and I'll go dig up the other one.
End of June, right?
End of June, we took unripe walnuts and made what they call Noccino in Italy, and I know there's another name in Czech or somewhere nearby.
What it is.
But it's basically a black walnut liqueur, and so we made that. So that is the link to that video that I just posted in the chat right now. But we made 2 types, and what you do is well, you want to explain what you do? It's been sitting for
Yeah, so
6 months.
we have the videos, but we
I'll dig
took
up the
them
other
when they're like
video.
golf ball size, and the shells,
Yeah.
the inner shell is not hard, and you can cut right through them. We quartered them up. We steeped them in neutral grain alcohol, so we used some vodka, and then we also were playing around with some Paddy's Irish whiskey, which is a lesser expensive Irish whiskey, which was totally a experiment.
That
No
was,
idea
yeah.
on this one. But so you take neutral grain spirits, and so you could use like a grappa or a vodka or something like that that's unflavored. You just put like 25 of those in, say, was that a liter? It was in about a liter.
Yeah.
Put about 25 of those in there, and usually has some cinnamon sticks and some other herbals can be in there. You let it sit about a month, and it'll turn a little bit dark. You'll get a little oxidizing, but less than you'd think from the green walnuts and being in the alcohol in the bottle. We drained it, strained it out, and then we put in a simple syrup to sweeten it slightly.
And that's the second video. So the first video.
Yeah, we put it all into a container, and there's a few ways to do that. Some people add the sugar early, most don't. Some people make it extremely sweet, like cordial. Most make it moderately sweet because it may be used as an aperitif for a blend, blending or other things. So we did sort of moderately sweet.
Yeah.
And it had vanilla bean, and it had some vanilla and cinnamon and whatever else suggested. Leave it in the bottle in a dark place. And usually it stays for about 6 months. So it happens end of June. What was it? St. Joseph? St.
One of the Italian or Catholic saint days.
One of the saint days, which I cannot remember right now. It's traditional, but that's just a reminder. It's the right time of year to go pick them.
Yeah.
And it actually is about the same here as in Europe. Yeah. But it would be the middle to end of June, and by, early May at the latest for us in the Midwest.
Early July at the latest.
Early July, yeah. And so anyways, so you let it sit for 6 months, sometimes a year, which makes 6 months perfect for Christmas time. Yeah. Incidentally, how these things work out. We ended up with this.
This is one of them.
We ended up with 2 of these. That's that Irish
That's
whiskey.
the Irish whiskey one, and this is the more traditional one.
So we've never really had it. We don't know. But we are at 6 months. On it, and so we figured
should try it.
We should figure out if it's terrible. Now we know that the smell, let alone trying to taste a green walnut, is absolutely awful.
Which one's the traditional one?
Let's look at the light here.
The lighter one.
The lighter one.
This one.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can smell it.
So yeah, they smell
kind of medicinal.
They smell medicinal. Smell a little bit green walnut, but I smell more earth and spice. And this is supposed to, as it sits, become more and more melded and unctuous and spicy.
Yes, aim high. So, it's been that long already.
I know. Can you believe that? Yeah, she was hanging out and
when we were making it.
Yeah, and yeah. So we ran across a number of people that make it and have had it.
Chefs and
other people that were just talking about. Oh yeah, and a lot of people were I was on the internet. A bunch of people making it this year. There's a few other channels and people.
Not too many of the home
make a pint of vanilla out of those. Yeah, if you could soak. Now there is a little vanilla in there, but if you could soak your vanilla beans in this as your bourbon base for your vanilla, and you would meld those flavors together,
cheers.
It would be great. So
should
you want to try?
I go ahead and try it. This is the traditional one, so it's which liquor did you use on this one?
Vodka. Costco vodka from an unknown distillery, which seems to come from the same location as Grey Goose.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and so it's definitely a cold weather sort of seasonal drink.
Am I scared at all? No, I try everything, Linda. I will try everything. I won't finish it if I don't like it, but I'll try anything.
It's not too medicinal.
No, it's not. It smells more medicinal than it tastes.
And it may get better if we let it sit around. And because you add the sugar water, so you take that straight 40%, 80 proof alcohol, whatever, 80 some proof, and you cut that down by at least a third. So you're now more in a liqueur range. It's still plenty strong. It's not a glass of wine or, and there are, if you look online, there are cocktails and mixers where it would be a component, as well as serving it chilled or serving it as a
and I'll spell it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
No, it wasn't really
good. So this
good.
one, we had a bottle of Paddy's Irish whiskey. I cut out the vanilla because the vanillins are already there. And we kind of cut down the spices and we just said, well, maybe that would work.
Yeah, because it
And
already had.
we ran out of vodka because we don't keep. I kept vodka around. We had
We ran out.
elderberry. We did elderberry blossom a year ago, and then this bottle been sitting there since because we don't drink vodka. It's just no flavor. Why would I?
Yeah.
I don't see the point to it. I know some people like it, but so we ran out, and
Do you
so
want
I
to
grabbed
rinse
this.
with water first?
No, right.
Okay. How's that one?
It's good. It's richer because it's already been aromatized. It actually tastes a little more green.
Yeah, it's different.
It tastes a little more like the green walnut, but not in a way like green walnut.
No.
And they're not. The stringency is pretty much left.
Mm-hmm.
Make this, but my walnut tree didn't produce my. We had a poor year last year. We had an abundant year this year.
Yeah.
We got a late freeze last year that knocked a lot of the. We got secondary budding, but we lost a lot of them.
Yeah. We only have the one walnut tree too, so it would just depends on
you need like 25. You don't need a lot, like 25. Golf ball size walnuts for a liter. So believe me, it doesn't take much to end up with more than enough unless you're making it for your whole town.
That's actually a pretty good drink, I would say.
It's amazingly sweet and smooth.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
actually, you could drink a lot of that very easily.
Probably too easily. Yeah.
And you would have no idea how strong it was, I would say.
So you do want to be careful.
I think we put at least a third simple syrup.
We'll have to go back and watch it.
The rest is between a quarter and a third. So we did knock it down, but it's not, it's not low potency.
Yeah.
It's just not killer stuff.
So yeah,
it's pretty good. I'd
recommend it.
I'd make it.
Yeah.
It tastes better than our tincture.
If you have a walnut tree, I'd recommend going ahead and doing that around late June, early July, or whenever your walnuts are about golf ball size. And the key is you want them unripe because you're going to cut these open. You want them to not have formed their shell
Your
inside.
knife should slide through that shell. You'll see a little line, but it's not hardened. Once it starts to harden, you're done. You're past time, and you got to wait till next year.
Yep.
You can find it in a lot of your sort of specialty stores. May have it probably dusty on a lower or upper shelf. It's not that expensive, and if you don't find the Italian Noccino, there are some other mid Europe, Eastern Europe versions, and they may have the same thing. It just comes under a different name.
So did Glad caught us online. Have a couple walnut trees. Awesome. So yeah, no, it's a fun thing to try.
Very light astringency on the back end, but extremely. You'd be shocked that all that awful flavor and astringency is really gone.
Because we tasted it. We tasted it 6 months. No, after adding the simple sugar.
After about a month and a half, when we added the simple sugar and strained it.
Yeah, and it was a little harsh.
It was not good.
Yeah.
It wasn't horrendous, but you wanted to spit it out. But we had one little sip and it was not good.
No. But this is actually pretty good, and I'd keep drinking that. I'll probably keep drinking these tonight later. but okay, Matthew, thanks for joining us. Have a great
I would
Christmas.
say that's a thumbs up on that one, and I would recommend it as easy. You don't need a high quality vodka or neutral grain spirit or grappa or whatever. Or you could probably use a brandy. Actually, we talked to a French friend. His mother, he remembers making it. And so don't need to buy anything special. I wouldn't buy the cheapest thing in a plastic bottle that's $3. But one step up from that will give you produce a nice product.
Suburban Hillbilly, that is a good question. That's changing the topic here, but she's asking about walnut trees and do we have many allelopathic plants in our food forest. Well, our food forest, I do have to get that video up too. We're starting to put more things up front.
Slowly get more stuff in.
Up front we don't. The walnut tree is allelopathic. Maple can be a little bit, but mainly it shades out things.
Maple is pretty aggressive on dead zone, but I think a lot of it's the leaf pattern, which is very encompassing.
Very shading.
You'll notice a moderately developed maple will have a 10 or 15 foot dead zone underneath it.
Yeah, but so we do have some, and we're going to keep some of our maple trees. Most of what we have in what's going to be our food forest area, we have some maple trees. We have some
black locusts are moderately also.
Well, no, they just shade it. They get so tall.
Yeah.
If you actually coppice the black locust tree and keep it more like a black locust bush type, you can eat the flowers off the black locust and their nitrogen
2 days before they disappear.
And they're nitrogen fixers, so they do help the other plants near them. So they're not actually emitting a chemical like black walnuts that actually prevents
We
some
got
plants.
5 dislikes today. Woohoo!
Oh
That's
wow.
awesome.
Okay. That was a lot. Um
Yeah, we like get one every week, and it's probably the same person. We think it's probably a friend who does it as a joke. I don't know.
Who knows?
That's
I
a
don't care.
record.
That is a record for any video, actually.
All right. Well, if you got a real dislike or grunt, please let us know. But
yeah, if there's
we
something,
generally just ignore it.
no, it doesn't matter. It's an interaction. It means somebody
Yeah.
has
5's
actually.
pretty good. We must have done well.
I don't know, but anyway, so no, don't have too many. So we have black locust, we have black cherry, and you could coppice those as well.
Yeah,
Because
cherry can. Some things don't like to grow by cherries too much, and some do.
But again, it's more the shade with those than anything else. And we have maple trees out there, and I'm not sure of all the types of the maples. I'm not good at distinguishing between the types, but we did tap a bunch of them this spring, so that's why we're keeping our maples.
People need hobbies. Yes, they do. If less of them would have a hobby of driving in the left lane, I would care more about that than down
Hi,
thumbs.
Joyce. Yeah,
we
no,
drove back from across the state, and oh my gosh, there were some people driving slow that would in the left lane the whole way, and like there's nobody in front of them. What are you doing? Move.
Yeah.
So that's worse of an annoyance than down thumbs.
Yeah. Well, and Joyce, that's fine. I actually haven't even thrown it out there yet or gone back to check our Facebook page or group. But we have answered some chef questions so far. But if you guys have any other chef questions, you can always throw those
back
out
to
there.
the allelopathic or,
Yes.
Plants. So Mike Hogue, who Cindy took classes with, talked to him. His suggestion is.
Yes, I did see Carrie's post on that. Is this too much pepper for our eggs? And she has a bowl full of pepper.
Yeah, his suggestion on plants that don't is that there's always classes of plants that do like it. So it's sort of a misnomer. You need to be careful. And like around, and Cindy looked it up at one point. How bad is the black walnut? Well, she found roses and fennel and a handful of things that I think it was that
roses and fennel actually like to grow together anyway.
Yes.
But do all right under black walnuts. A lot of the brambles do fine under black walnuts. So your raspberries and your blackberries and dewberries will grow okay.
And that goes back to his discussions. We talk of oversimplification of zoning, and that you need to not just think about what likes what or aggressively or helps each other, which is great, but you need to look at field and grassy areas versus forest areas versus crossover areas. You need to look at what naturally grows there, and that things will gravitate and and do well together.
Yeah.
You need to look at these things that don't like things and realize that there's things that do. And if you just put all that in context, there's really nothing that dislikes, that is just over by itself. But black walnuts, probably one of the toughest ones.
You're getting a white Christmas, Tony.
Yeah, we got a flurry-ish few flakes today.
We have
but
nothing
we're not,
on the ground.
Yeah, we're above freezing. We're a little above freezing.
We were during the day anyway.
It's gonna get cold. What, next week? It's pretty quick.
It's gonna get cold on the 1st. We're gonna get a little back and forth on the freezing, above and below freezing this week, I think. So, and not much snow until they are predicting at the moment on the 1st, but I don't trust it that far out.
Somebody gave a kid cleaning his horse trailer a down thumb. Well, you go clean the horse trailer then.
And Garrett, I didn't say hi. Hi to Garrett. Yeah, so if anybody else has any other cooking questions, we can do that, or any other food force questions, we could do that. I did get a bunch of seeds out and bulbs
I think
out.
It's what are people doing for Christmas? I know not everybody celebrates Christmas, but many people do. Or I know
62 at Suburban Hillbilly. Nice. You are in Georgia? Is it Georgia? Suburban Hillbilly? Outside Georgia? I'm sorry, I'm horrible at remembering where everybody is. I'm bad enough at remembering names. So, and actually, if I meet you in person, I will probably take a while to put your name to your channel.
That's the hardest thing,
yeah. So.
But yeah, tell us what plans are. People's got time off and what they're doing or celebrating.
What do you do for the holidays?
Especially we like what they're cooking, but just in general.
Yeah.
How do you celebrate the holidays?
Cold, wet, and soggy. Where are you, C. Dean? So
I saw a good post from a friend today in New York. It had 4 of the guys from The Sopranos all looking very grim at somebody who said happy holidays to them. They said something like, this is when an Italian Catholic hears
Happy
Happy
holiday.
Holidays. We're not Italian and we're not Catholic, but
So,
I still thought it was pretty funny.
yeah. Curie hit the mid 70s yesterday. Today only the 50th. Oh my goodness. Aim high, staying at home on Christmas. We're
We're
actually
taking it really easy because we kind of did one family today, and it was kind of easy anyways because Cindy's sister's having a baby at any moment. And she didn't end up coming because she wasn't feeling real well, and mother-in-law was feeling a little under, and so they decided not to.
So it was low key. We had my other sister and her kids there.
We zoomed in all the food.
And so he did all the cooking, and but it was held at my parents' house. So our dinner.
We did make more sourdough bread, similar to some of our other pictures. That's working off of Stefan, not Stephanie.
Stefan's
Borgesian, is that what it is?
I'm not sure how pronounce his last name.
So he gave us, and a bunch of people met up, hootenanny people that met up for a hog butcher, gave us a real nice traditional rye sourdough starter. And we've been making some incredible 2 and 3 day ferment traditional sourdough.
And I gave him one of his Christmas presents yesterday.
Oh, that's right.
So that because you were or the day before, so you can make the sourdough, because your biggest complaint about making the sourdough in our oven is you didn't have a baking stone.
I didn't have we weren't set up with a stone in there, so it was hard to get the really nice dark almost to burned crust, European style, without burning the bottom of it, because you have two options. You put it on a cold surface and it doesn't cook the bottom well enough, or you preheat, like I have a steel piece, you preheat that, but it conducts so much heat you end up with a scalded burned bottom. And so or the bottom to the, so anyways, we got a stone in there. It worked out pretty nice.
So that first time using that yesterday.
Lasagna. We had a few people at the market buying lasagna noodles for Christmas.
Yep.
That's a big deal on the East Coast. You got to make pasta and usually lasagna.
And those of you guys who don't know, because there seems to be a lot of newer people in here, has his own business that is making pasta. So, and we actually do have a webpage that's linked in here. But
sold quite a bit of pasta yesterday. Had a really good day at the market, which is good because we're heading into some really slow days. I think a lot of people last minute gifts, and a lot of people finally getting their meal plans down and coming out to get pasta. So
So Joyce is just staying home. Most of the family lives in Illinois. They moved to East Tennessee 3 years ago after their son passed away. That's hard when you have someone who passed and it's around the holidays. But Tony, nothing this year.
Fried chicken, ham, potatoes, mac and cheese. That's
usually go to the Caribbean or the Florida. We're in the Caribbean, first of all. We've been to Trinidad a couple times, but not much.
I just did a cooking 2 weeks ago. I did a big cooking class, community cooking class on Trinidad.
Yeah, fried chicken, ham, potatoes.
That sounds like southern.
That sounds
southern good. Christmas there. Yep. We typically had a turkey, although occasionally ham, depending on where we were at. One grandparents usually had turkey and ham. The other grandparents had a little more English German background. They like to do a roast, so they like to do beef. I'm good with any of the above.
Yeah.
And duck or goose is great too.
And Amy helps with the Santa shop that uncle runs.
Well, that's busy. That's cool. That's busy all the
way
through.
That is busy. Yeah. But spent most of the day picking up picking up my kids from their dad. Yeah. I read that initially as picking up after my kids. I'm like, when's that? That's always right. No. Okay. Kiri, Monday I had 2 goats, kid, 3 babies total. Well, congratulations. Wow. Mom would have turned 82 Monday if she was still alive. One more goat due to kid. Awesome.
Zucchini lasagna. That's good stuff. Yep.
So so we just did our ham. What else did you have? You had cranberries, sourdough bread.
We had a pretty darn accidental local meal. So we got together at Thanksgiving, and Cindy's sister and their family make Thanksgiving and kind of like doing that. So we were going to get together and kind of decide who's going to do food, and people couldn't decide. I said, well, I have 2 hams and 2 turkeys in the freezer.
Yep.
The freezer is like
packed
pushing
full.
On it almost to close it right now. I said, we need to get one of those out, so I will bring one of those. And then it was just kind of came down to things were getting busy and crazy. And so I said, look, I can do the whole thing. and I'll just bring everything. So
I didn't finish reading Carrie's statement, by the way.
yeah.
It's her birthday, Christmas.
Oh, I saw that. She says, "Oh,
Happy
nice."
birthday! Yeah. So
But
anyway, but yeah, so we had the ham.
so we did the ham, which was our processing and curing and cooking. We had the sourdough bread, traditional sourdough bread. I had cranberry sauce I'd made almost a month ago. I actually screwed up something else. I was candying them and they started to mush. Which I'm like, stop,
Yeah.
make them into cranberry sauce. Go get some dried cranberries for what I was doing. So I had that, and then we had maple syrup from the spring. We had sweet potatoes, just baked roasted sweet potatoes with some
Those were
maple
just
syrup. We had 2 types of jam from various
that
ventures
we had made
in the
previously.
basement for the bread.
Yeah.
Uh,
You had green beans with bacon.
Bacon I made, maple brown sugar, cracked pepper, bacon with green beans. The green beans came frozen.
Yeah.
Wrong time of year for green beans.
And we didn't can or freeze any of ours this
No, we didn't.
year.
Yeah, and then
And your pasta, you
oh,
from
I
the
made a
business.
quick pasta salad. Yeah, just to fill things out. So yeah, it was pretty. We actually had a pretty heavy hand in producing
Local.
a lot of the products.
Yeah.
Salmon, I love salmon for Christmas. So I used to do, by the way, till a few years ago, like 3 years ago,
I just love salmon.
I would do massive, massive Christmas, not only parties, but I worked for country clubs where we had to take care of the members either in gigantic buffets. Sometimes we would do fireplace dinners where we cooked out of the fireplace. Last place we did these candlelight dinners where it was 3 to 4 days, 350 people, everything you have ever seen that you could imagine under the sun. So, yeah, smoked salmon, uh, cooked poached salmon, oysters, raw bar, lobsters, sushi, lamb chops, prime rib, Chilean sea bass. I mean, it was ridiculous amount of food we spent for that. What was it? About 1,000 people came through, or a little more. We would spend $60,000 in food for that 3 to 4 day period. It was insane. Oh, and then we do whole rounds of swordfish sometimes, cook them like turkeys,
Oh
and
my gosh.
slice out pieces of that. The idea was to get the best of everything all in one place,
Thank you,
and it was
Joyce.
a very pricey
Joyce,
place, but yeah.
I was so late. That happened. That decoration on the fireplace happened 15 minutes before the show because I was actually ready to go.
You can't give away the props. It's just a studio.
But there's a culinary Santa up there.
Oh
and
yeah,
some lights.
yeah. I think my parents gave us that.
Yeah, that comes out at Christmas time.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of salmon. Warm, chilled, smoked, whatever for the
salmon.
Holidays. I wouldn't pass that up.
Oh, another thing that was local that we had were chestnuts. We had chestnuts with roasted.
Yeah, had me at lobster, lost me at $60K. Well, I think we charged like $60 a head for adults plus gratuity plus drinks, so you could end up at
Keep in mind,
this is New York in a very exclusive country club.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's say that adults were running at $80 to $100 a head for that event.
This is a club where like the Rockefellers.
Well, we can't talk about who members are
sorry.
there. That's
well, there's a lot of them.
There's everybody's prominent in a country club, but this is a very nice established New York country club. So yeah, let's say it cost about $100 a person to be there. But let me tell you, you couldn't spend $100 and go to any restaurant, go to any hotel, and have them put out that spread because it's done basically at cost or at a loss. It's just it's insane. And some people go, well, isn't that really? Yeah, it's a buffet and service. It's all you can eat it's for just dinner service. There's music and and people bring their families. It's really about Christmas. So some people are like, well, it's really kind of over the top and wasteful. But the way I look at it is, it's kind of a huge celebration, and I like it as a chef. It's a ton of work, but you really get to explore doing a lot of things and having the opportunity to work with amazing quality product, and stuff. And it actually pays the salary of a lot of people is the other way to look at it. Paid me, and it paid a lot of 100 staff
and vendors
and everything else. So it's a good economic thing. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. I have done amazingly huge buffets and nice stuff everywhere and wine dinners, but this one particular event, the way it was formatted, is over and above. It's the old style buffets, and you can't afford to do those. People don't do them anymore.
No.
So, but
anyway.
it's amazing.
Yep. So
everything's all decorated and lit up, and it's nice. It's really nice.
Yeah. So any other holiday traditions?
Crab
I think we got
legs,
all of them. Yeah.
Seafood, that's a big deal at Christmas. So what we learned about when we were in New York, of course, we lived in Yonkers very near the Bronx. So a lot of Italian, a lot of Irish, a lot of Caribbean, a lot of world,
a lot of people,
blend of the world. Almost nobody grew up. There's some people grew up, but
one generation out.
Yeah, one generation out.
Yeah.
So I worked with a lot of everybody, but I had some good Italian friends and American Italians. So would do the fish, and do the 11 fish, is it 10 fish, 11 fish? It even varies a little bit. So you could buy it as a packet from some of the fish places, and so some of them are very simple, like sardines or eel is a big one, cold pickled eel, which that's an acquired taste. It's not bad, but it's pickled in white vinegar. Yeah, get ready for that if you don't know what you're biting into. It's very sour, but you can buy a packet of all the fish and seafood together, and that can even vary what it is a little bit. But the cost, you can watch the costs go up 30 to 50% those 2 weeks because, well, part of it's just a drain on fish coming into the market and the accessibility. There's only so much. But golly, if you got to buy the stuff retail, and we paid extra wholesale, but the retail buying it is insane. Just like people trying to buy Chilean sea bass, which is in very, very low supply to begin with, or halibut and other things, and they're paying $35, almost $40 a pound for clean. It's not affordable.
No,
but it's amazing. I mean, I never got to do one of the traditional Italian Christmases with all the fish. Never was always busy or never invited to do that. But that would be awesome. You always worked
Christmas.
Yeah, I was always working right up until
Christmas
a lot of
Eve.
places we worked Christmas Eve. Some places we didn't.
Yeah.
But a lot of places worked Christmas Eve, which meant you finished the last day because you're like cleaning up and throwing out and trying to settle things down for a day or two. I'd walk out at as fast as I could, but it's usually midnight.
Yeah.
And then Christmas, you're just exhausted. Been 5, 6, 7 days going straight in parties, so you basically sleep most of Christmas because you're so tired, and then have to come back to work and usually a day or two later, clean things up, pull a party in the middle. I did a wedding in the middle between Christmas and New Year's one year, small wedding, and then you got to get ready for New Year's Eve, which is honestly not that busy, but it's a real pain.
You're there late.
And you got to make it. And we did really, really nice food. It was just a small group, though. Yeah. So, fennel, Fennel's picky. Fennel's kind of hard, and it takes a long time to grow.
We haven't grown a lot of fennel, mainly because the reason I've chosen not to grow a lot of it is because not a lot of plants like to grow next to fennel. I did read fennel and roses make a good companion.
Yeah.
And we did get some perennial bulbing fennel.
That looks really
seeds.
Cool, which I didn't know about.
So I did plant those in the food forest this year.
So those are supposed to, once they establish, they're hardy and they will continue to come back even in cold weather. So we're excited about that. Yeah. Traditional sweet fennel does like, I think, very well drained soil, loose drained soil like sandy soil. Not clay, and
but I think fairly fertile.
It likes fertile, and it does like to get its water. Yeah. It needs the full season to grow, much of the or to at least get a big bulb. So it is a little picky, but it's nice, and I've really found a liking for fennel. I like to eat it raw, which is that's again an Italian thing. Just to eat it, we put it on like crudité and just chew on it raw, and I think it's great because it's kind of sweet. I like cooking with it too.
So Aim High used to be married to an Italian guy, and
Christmas is as big as it gets. There's so many traditions, and they really vary city to city and region to region, and then what's been transported here. But it's a big deal. And everything's about food, and each day has different food. Yeah, it's
Each pasta is supposed to go with.
We have a panettone sitting here. I didn't make it. I've made panettone before, but. We have panettone here. I figured I'd do some panettone French toast in somewhere in the next few days.
So, yeah.
Maybe we'll put Noccino over it. We have elderberry syrup also that we made.
Do have elderberry.
That came up in elderberry preserved in honey, which becomes a syrup because the juice from the elderberry loosens up the honey, and we keep it refrigerated so it doesn't ferment. It's pretty tasty. Yeah. If we left it out, it'd turn into elderberry honey mead, I think. But
yeah, probably would. But I don't know. That might actually be good.
Yeah, you go early and you eat all day. So I worked for a while at a predominantly Italian American country club, also different than that. And so the deal is there we would do a buffet with usually a plated choice. So you'd have antipasto and salads and maybe an action station or some whatever, all your shrimp, and you'd eat that first, and then you get a choice on an entree of usually it was steak or duck or turkey or whatever, and we would have all that, and you get a plate of that we would send out of the kitchen for the whole table. And then we'd always have a pasta station and a huge dessert or Viennese style dessert buffet. And so the running joke was after you're absolutely stuffed and couldn't eat anymore, you would say, all right, I think I'll get up and go get some pasta now. And then they go to get the pasta bar, and then you still had to go back and get dessert and coffee.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Oh, man.
That place, people ate more volume than I've ever seen. I'm a pretty good eater. There's some people at some events, groups of people that could outdo me big time. They knew how to eat, and they knew how to. They probably had the most fun. That group, that club, and it was Irish and Italian primarily, but a pretty good mix of everybody. They probably had the most fun and enjoyment, the least pretentiousness, and just really liked their time there. So yeah.
Well, I think we're running out of things to talk about unless there's any other questions here. And it is getting pretty late. We're 20 minutes past our time, although since when do we ever end on time? We always seem to go an hour and a half. But and then next week we will be live as well.
Heading into we don't have any New Year, the eve of the new year.
Yeah, so pretty much. So we will do our live next week. Our schedule lightened up because we're not going to host New Year's, so I think we're.
Yeah, we were going to have a lot of family here, but we've all been together twice.
In the last month.
Yeah, in the last month, and things are just kind of busy, so we decided.
Yeah.
We're not going to have people over here for New Year's
Plus,
Eve.
you just.
But we didn't know if people were coming. Yeah, if they were going to come next Saturday or Sunday, or if they were actually going to come New Year's Eve. We're like, it's only a week away. Why are we? Yeah. And then if it's going to snow, people have to travel, and they got kids, and we're like, forget it.
And the one sister can't make it because she's like, extremely pregnant right now.
We're like, that's silly. Let what you know.
So yeah, so we're not doing much next week, so we'll do our regular live show. The week after that, we will be on the road, but we're going to try to do it on the road. And we might have some surprises with that. We'll have to let you know about later. And then, so New Year's, Adam.
I think that's a typo. Yeah, eating a lot and enjoying it and celebrating is good, but it can get overabundant, and I think if you get sick from it, these days people are paying more attention to health, and as people get older, that diabetes and other things, and maintaining as much as you're enjoying and trying to celebrate, but trying to not end up ill is definitely high on the list.
Yeah. But so we will do another forage food feature next week. Maybe I'll try to get some of the things on the webpage organized so it's easier if you're interested in looking up specific items. If you have any suggestions, I'm open to those. If you have suggestions on organizing
topics
things.
or ideas.
Yeah. So
change the topic in the middle of the show. It's fine.
Yeah, we bounce around a lot, so decent at that anyway.
Give a few down thumbs.
That's fine too. It's an interaction, so I think it actually helps. The chat helps. The any thumbs help. So anyway, there is.
Oh, the day before they even is Adam. I got it.
Oh yeah. We should have had that. Anyway. So we can all meet here next week and drink.
I'm good with that. There's some people that check in sometimes that are not alcohol consumers and prefer we not talk too much about things. Although we're usually doing tinctures and it's medicinal or herbal or light enjoyment. It's not so. But you want to have your beverage of choice, please do so. Enjoy.
If you do, I will say cheers and Happy New Year's. So. But yeah, we should sign off for tonight. It's late, and I don't have to work tomorrow, but that's another matter.
I do. I have orders that need to go out in the morning, and I have a bunch of orders that need to go out right after Christmas. So, I am actually doing work tomorrow.
Yeah,
at least a good bit of the day.
Yeah, no, that's my dad's type of joke. So you're good. I just didn't catch it. So, anyway, we are going to sign off and say good night and have a Merry Christmas. And we'll see you guys all next week.
Good night.